What is going on, good people? How we doing? Happy Saturday to everybody. Hopefully everybody had a good start to their weekend. Got a lot of things to talk about, man. You saw the thumbnail and the not the title, but the title on the thumbnail is The Long Night. For those people that watched Game of Thrones, you know exactly what I mean when I say the long night, this hiatus that the Giants have until training camp. It's going to be a long, what we got 5 weeks left now, a little bit 6 weeks. So yeah, man, it's going to be a time where we need to, dig deep, talk about some conversations that we need to have, and and see where people's point of views are at, man. Take the temperature in the room. Once you see the topics of tonight, man, you'll understand exactly what I mean when I say that. But before we get started, let me know if the audio was good. Let me know if the visual was good. Mic all the way in my face, pause. But yeah, give me a thumbs up. Either say I'm good in the chat. Also hit that like button, man. Let the algorithm know that we in the building, and the algorithm will let other Giants fans know that we in the building as well. Going to do a quick quick roll call while we do that. So let me see, man. Shout out to the 37 people already in the building. Again, please hit that like button. My big brother in the building said, yo, Big Dash, what's up? Let's go. What's going on, big bro? How you doing? How you doing? I heard it's hot in Jersey today. Tony Benito says, I think all of us Giants fans believe that this team is playoff bound this year. Throw my hat in that ring for sure. I do believe that the New York Giants got a chance to make it to the playoffs this year. I got a lot of reasons to believe that. Luann is in the building, said, let's go year. What's going on? Bricks Jersey in the building said, what's good, Dash? What up, Giants fam? Make sure you shout out the family too, man. Make sure you shout out the family. This is the family reunion. New York Giants, Big Blue Nation. We in the building, and we all family. Miguel says, good evening, Dash. Chat, Wemby is public enemy number one. I don't know who Wemby is. Who is this Wemby that we talk about? It's only championships over here. Orange and blue skies. I don't know who this Wemby is. Luann said, Big Doof Wemby. Joseph Salvatore in the building said, what's going on, Joseph? My man Tyrone Hall is in the building. Shout out to my man Tyrone. Day one over here, too. Salute Big Dash into the chat. Let's go, Knicks. We still celebrating, man. And again, shout out to the people that were actually at the parade or got a chance to go to the parade. That environment was bananas. I saw the videos. For the most part, it seemed like they were okay. Not too many people had any kind of violence happen to them. And hopefully that's the way, they need to celebrate, man. Let's keep it clean. I can't say that about that night, though. The night the Knicks won the championship, I seen they tore some things up. Luann says, dirty player Wemby. Isaac Moore says, Wimpy, not Wemby, is Wimpy. That's his. I like that nickname, too, Isaac. I like that nickname. Barry is in the building. My man Clinton Jones in the building. My man TP Way the Giant is in the building. Hey, TP, man, we still waiting for the triumphant return of TP Way the Giant, man. How long you going to make us wait? How long are you going to make us wait, man? Shout out to my man TP Way in the building. Again, if you guys are Giants fans, make sure you go ahead and subscribe to my man TP Way the Giant, fantastic Giants content creator. Sean Nevins in the building says, up, fan, finally caught a live stream. Usually I have to watch after. Well, you know what? I'm glad. I'm glad you were finally able to catch a live stream as I'm stepping all over cords over here. Josiah in the building said, good evening, Dash and fam. Clinton Jones said, what up? My man Phil in the building. Sean said, smash the like button. Please do. Please do. Again, shout out to the people. I know it's a long night, man. This is that dry time for the New York Giants and the content. And you see the diehard, bleed blue people are still in the building, still tuning in. Why? Because we're junkies when it comes to the Giants. Absolute junkies. There's no news happening, so what we do, we make our own news. We make up our topics and we talk about things that we want to talk about as fans. Shout out to the beat writers, though, of course. Shout out to everybody. Good evening. I think I got everybody initially. Deb Ellis in the building. What's going on, Deb? Kenya in the building. What's going on? How's everybody doing tonight? I see the day ones in the building. Audio good. Thank you very much. My man Stacy in the building. KC Smooth. Joe Spano. What's going on? Anthony Cherry in it. Everybody in here today. All right. Milk Dud said Fimby. We got Wimpy. We got Fimby. We got the Goof. We got a lot of names for Wemby. It felt good though. It felt good to win that championship. Shout out to all the diehard Knicks fans out there for sure. I got to see what my man Joe Ferris is talking about. He always makes it interesting. Is this another rehash? It sounds like the same every offseason with this team. Then we end up sucking, getting scammed. Tell me why this is different. No wolf tickets. Unlike politicians, Joe Ferris, I'm going to keep it real with you. I'm not going to sell you a dream. I might sell you a little bit of hope, but I'm not going to sell you a dream. There's only one reason why it feels different, and that's because of who's at the helm. And it's about Harbaugh, man, at the end of the day. Somebody with a proven track record coming here and turning things around. I'm not going to promise you the playoffs. I'm not going to promise you the division title or anything like that, but I can promise you this. It will be interesting. And as a Giants fan, you already know, you tuned in already through the worst of times. Make sure you're here for the best of them as well. That's the best thing I can tell you, man. Appreciate the love and support with the $9.99 super chat. What's going on? Was it Kenya says you are going to sell the PS1? What you talking about, the PS1? Who you talking about? I think you might have. So you might be multitasking, Kenya. Somebody might have tweeted you, or not tweeted you, but texted you that, and you responded to them. We ain't selling no PS1s over here. They still got PS1s for sale somewhere. I don't know. Milk Does says I never had so much vodka as the day of the parade. My wife said I was toe up from the flow up. Vodka, huh? I don't do the clear liquor, man. I don't do that. Can't do that. Don't want to do that. When I was young, I don't know how old you are, Milk Does. I can't do the clear liquor, man. I need brown. I need the brown. Barry said, let's beat the how we talking about the Cowboys already, but the Cowpokes, I get it. We're not gonna talk about the Cowboys. They're gonna try to keep it back. Uh-oh. TP Way says I am back. He said first vid was put out this morning. See, YouTube dropped the ball. Because I've been all over YouTube today, and not once did they tell me that you was back. We gotta make sure we go ahead and show support for my man TP Way. You know what happens though, TP. When you take a step away and try to come back, algorithm put you at the bottom of the map. You got to work your way back up. But make sure we help this man do that too. So if you got a chance, make sure you go ahead and check out my man TP Way, the Giants video, and show that man some love, support. Hit the like button. If you're not subscribed, make sure you guys go ahead and do that too. Craig said, Big Dash, Knicks forever. Knicks forever. That's a fact. Stacy says, Harbaugh has the team believing in themselves already, and that's dangerous. Yeah, once people start believing in themselves, they can turn things around. So let's do it. Joe Ferris says, dry time. No wins, just hype it up. Knows what? Again, I'm trying to change, Joe. I'm trying to change. I've been on here, 4 years now, right? 4 years going on the 5th year now, right? I fell on my face so many times, Joe. You already know. I can't change too much, though. I don't concede games in the offseason. Not at all. Not at all. Shout out to Sean Clowney in the building. Said, let's effing go Giants and Knicks. Parade was crazy. Yeah, like I said, I saw the videos. Parade was crazy. Jonathan says, I miss so much lives, man. I miss this 100. Now, I'm glad that you're happy, man. I'm glad to have all these people in the building. Again, shout out to the over 50 people in the building. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. We got some things to talk about, and I think I'm almost done with the roll call. My man Joseph said 10-7. Sean says Brunson made Wimpy look slim. Wimpy does not need anybody to help him look slim. That man needs a couple of meals for sure. I just like the way that they tried to play it out. They tried their best to have Wemby be the next face of the NBA, and the Knicks said, no, sir. And shout out to Stephen A. Smith for being man enough to apologize to the Knicks in front of them. He did it on the air, and he did it in front of them. So shout out to Stephen A. Smith. As far as I know, Becky Hammond is still standing on business with the comments that she made 2 years ago. I don't know why, but we're going to leave that alone. Shout out to my man Rev in the building. Sean says, I'm almost 46 years old. I don't drink much these days, maybe a few beers with some friends. But when we win the chip, my buddy brought over a bottle of tequila. and I'm not gonna lie, I was hungry. Oh, well, I was hungover, sorry, but happy. I'm not a drinker like that either, man. I swear, man. I got a bottle of Hennessy that I probably got before COVID. 2018, 2019, and it's still damn near full bottle in there. I don't drink like that either, man. I don't drink like that. I try not to. Don't want to. I should say that. Don't need the alcohol. Is Lori Maloney in the bill? What's going on? Lori said, "What up, Dash? Listening in." Yeah, to you at work. I appreciate it. Thank you for that. Thank you. A couple people listen while they're at work, and I'm happy that I can help you get through your shifts like that. All right, so let's get into it, man. Craig said Becky shut them Insta comments off. That's what happened. I don't even follow her, so I don't know. I don't even know. Now I appreciate love support. Shout out to everybody in the building, man. Let's get into these talking points, though. Let's get into these talking points. We're gonna talk about, and you know how we do, man. It's a family reunion. You guys get the show going. So I expect you guys to participate in this conversation like you're doing right now. So we're gonna talk about spring winners and spring losers. See, Joe Ferris, we're going to talk about spring winners and spring losers. We ain't going to talk about, or we're not going to forecast, the 2026 season, at least not yet. I got a couple more weeks before I jump off the deep end. But let's talk about it, man. Some spring winners. And as I'm going, you guys can let me know if you agree, if you don't agree with some of these names. I'm going to start with some of the winners of the spring. This is no particular order. First guy I want to talk about is our first pick of the draft is Arvell Reese, winner of spring practice, not just because he was the 5th overall pick and but also because by all reports they talked about how good he's looked so far in his defense. And obviously there's no pads on and nothing like that, but it's not about him hitting, it's about his ability to cover so far in these 7-on-7s and 11-on-11s that people keep hyping up, say he looks like a natural in coverage when he's covering running backs. We kind of have a feeling what or know what he can do as far as being able to rush the passer and do things like that. But playing off ball linebacker, you're going to deal a lot with being in coverage. And early reports out of camp so far is he's doing a good job in coverage. So I'm happy about that for sure. Bookend says Reese will be a beast. I do agree. I do. And it's funny too, because listen, as I wanted Sonny Styles. Let's be real. I wanted Sonny Styles. I was here preaching Sonny Styles. For a lot of people, I felt like Sonny Styles was a better option because of his coverage ability. But I'm hearing early on in camp that Reese is doing good in coverage, and I love it because what does he do? He gives you a little bit more as far as what he can do against the run and also rushing the passer. And, good things happen for a reason. And I think we got a chance. I should say pretty much the man fell on our lap. Pause. And these guys were quick to the draw, didn't waste any time, and made Arvell Reese the 5th overall pick after a few people passed him. And then, interesting enough, some of the teams that passed on him, guess what? We get to play him. And I'm pretty sure, I don't know if he holds grudges. He seems like the type that could possibly hold grudges. But guess what? The Titans passed on him. We played the Titans. The Cardinals passed on them. We played the Cardinals. So for me, I can't wait to see what this young man does on the field come September. Next, as far as winners for the spring, I'm going to say Calvin Austin. Calvin Austin is a guy that I had on the radar very, very early in free agency. Argued with a couple of Giants fans about my want for Calvin Austin to add him to the wide receiver room. And then all we heard all OTAs long, all minicamp long is how this man has been racking up the catches and racking up the yards. Also, he plays the slot. We know that Jackson Darts, some of his favorite targets, operate out of the slot. We saw it with Wan'Dale Robinson last year due to a couple of things. And you guys see the topics. Darts development is probably going to be the last thing we talk about today, but we definitely got to get into a tough conversation, truthful conversation about our franchise quarterback, or quote unquote franchise quarterback, who I'm a big fan of. But I got to be honest, there's a lot of development that needs to happen still. But back to Calvin Austin, man. I do think Calvin Austin will have a serious role in this offense. just because of the way that Jackson Dart likes to play, because he likes to scramble, and a lot of these slot receivers are good in the scramble drills or in the area of the field also that Jackson Dart likes to operate or favors. So I think whoever's in the slot is going to be a big part of this offense as well. Let me get some more of these comments real quick. That was a text for the 3D printer. So somebody is selling PS1s though. I hear you. Milk Does says, let's be real. Who's making it? We got a bunch of big wide receiver names, but they all not making it. What's your depth chart? Listen, man, listen. First of all, Milk Does, you see the orders up there. You see the orders up there. We are at the first topic talking about spring winners. We got the spring losers. We got top competitions, and that's the part of the conversation where we're going to talk about this wide receiver order. So we are going to get into that. We definitely going to get into that. Don't let me get to that subject and not mention you again, because obviously you're ahead of your time right now. You've been cheating. Cringy Grinchy says Colton Hood for sure. Guess what? Colton Hood is on my list for sure. And as you can see, top competition, CB2 is another place where, or a position or spot where there might be some competition. Well, not even might be some competition, where the most interesting competition is going to be, heading into training camp. But Colton Hood is on the list. Every time this man has been in practice, he's made plays, pass breakups, interceptions, pick sixes. You're hearing his name already in a good way. For me though, and I don't want to jump too far ahead when it comes to that CB2 competition. It's a 3-man race right now. I don't know how Tay Banks did it, but somehow he has worked his way in the eyes of the beat writers back into this CB2 competition. I don't know how real that is. I don't know if it has real legs or anything like that. But that's what people are talking about. But we're going to talk about that in a second, too. So I said Arvell Reese. I said Calvin Austin. We said Colton Hood. I also had Tay Banks. Tay Banks is having a good spring. Again, spring means nothing. We understand that. And he has enough tape of real games where we can question a lot of the effort from Tay Banks. But by everything that I'm reading, he is taking advantage of his opportunity. A new lease on life, a clean slate is what they gave him. We all know that as far as physically talented, he is very, very physically talented. Needed to clean up a lot of things, but this scheme fits him a lot better than what Shane Bowen was doing. We just hope that he can do good enough that he can push, the guys in front of him right now, for that CB2 spot. All right, hold on. Let me get some more of these comments. Chris D says we should really pick up a DT during cuts. I'm with you. I'm with you on that. That's one of the spots that I think that they might pick up somebody if the right person shakes loose. I don't know how they still feel about Christian Wilkins. He's out there. I don't know how they feel about that, if they feel like he's a risk or not. For me right now, I'm picking him up. I don't know how healthy he is either. He's missed almost a season and a half. So we don't know what kind of shape he's in. I don't see a big social media presence from him online or anything like that. So for me, I don't know what kind of shape he's in. I don't know what his interests are. I don't know if he wants to come back to the NFL. I'm pretty sure he does. But yeah, he's definitely somebody that I would target to see, if he's serious or not. But I do believe that if the right people shake loose when they cut down to 53, these other teams, I think the Giants will definitely be in the market, not just for DTs, but there's some other positions as well. One thing Harbaugh said is that he's never going to stop trying to make this team better, the roster better. So he's going to continue to make moves. And again, he has no real loyalty to any of these players right now, outside of this draft class when you really think about it. So I'm curious to see what happens with that. Is it Jay? JK Gamer says, Big Dash, keep it up. I think no matter who comes out of camp, we are going to have a stacked roster from head to toe. I'm glad you feel that way, man. I think this is going to be the most talented team we've had in a while. And that's without having, Dexter Lawrence on the field and stuff like that. I believe the wide receiver room is better. I believe the tight end room is better. I believe the linebacker group, edge group is still good. Defensive line, question mark, but not really, because I do like the veterans that we brought in. Secondary, that's a question mark too. Cornerbacks and safety. It's all about whether or not these guys can get back to where they were before, talking about Debo and Holland, and if Tay Banks can do something. Newsome. I'm still high on Newsome too, the free agent that we picked up, formerly from Jacksonville, also from Cleveland Browns. I like him. He's in that competition with the cornerback 2 spot right now too. What's going on? Craig says, best thing about Reese, silent assassin. Yeah, man, it's almost scary how serious he is. I think I've seen him laugh twice since he's been a New York Giant. That's it. I ain't never seen a 21-year-old. Is he even 20 yet? 21 yet? I don't even know if he's 21 yet. Is he? You got to be 21 at least, right? I've never seen somebody that serious to the point where other teammates tell him to smile, man. Lighten up. Listen, I like the energy, man. I like how intense he is for a guy that's his age. But also we need that type of energy on this defense, man, on this team. We need somebody serious out there. We've been playing long enough. We've been playing bad long enough. Let them be serious, man. Also, man, I want to say this too, man. I left off a lot of the edge rushers as far as winners go. I left off offensive linemen for the winners because, again, there's no pads on. I saw the reports for Carter and Burns and Tibbs, all these guys with the would-be sacks and stuff like that. I hear all that. I will acknowledge all that, but I'm not putting that as winners or definitely going to put one in the loser spot. So I might renege on that. But as far as the winners go, I'm not including any offensive linemen right now. And then I'm not including, your Burnses, your Tibbs, your Carters and stuff like that. You know what I mean? I will include Reese because I haven't heard too much about Edmonds outside of him looking solid and regular and also getting a pick. I think it was a pick 6 for him too. But I kind of leave those guys out of it when it comes to the spring practice. It's more about your specials and stuff like that. Those guys are actually getting a lot of work, during this time. But once the pads are on, it's all about the trenches. All about the trenches. Bookend says, they said Hood is exceeding expectations. I hope so, man. I hope so. There was some criticism about him not, starting a lot, not getting a lot of reps. I think a lot of people forget that he also played at Colorado before he transferred to Tennessee. Listen, despite how a lot of people feel about Deion Sanders and that Colorado team, they have good coaching over there. Good fundamental, good coaching, good teachers. A lot of ex-NFL players out there coaching those guys up, man. And you saw once he got to Tennessee, he excelled. So he's the level of competition was raised from Colorado going to Tennessee, and he just looked even better than what he did at Colorado. And he made plays at Colorado too. So shout out to Hood. And then the last person I want to talk about as far as winners, again, it was a long list, but I tried to keep it pretty short. Malachi Fields, man. Malachi Fields, so far we've heard everything we thought we were going to hear. 50-50 balls, exciting catches, big catches, red zone threat, touchdown catches. That's what we heard from Malachi Fields so far. And I'm happy about that too, man, because for me, again, I did not like the trade. I didn't like giving up draft assets, but I did like the player that we drafted in Malachi Fields, and I got high hopes for him. I'm not going to say high expectations because, again, we'll see what happens with that. The production at Notre Dame wasn't where you wanted it to be, but if you look at the kid when he played at Virginia, you'll see there's some potential there that some people might not be familiar with when it comes to Malachi Fields. And with the way that Jackson Dart likes to play, the gunslinger type, you're going to need somebody out there that can do the 50-50 ball type things. And Malachi Fields is definitely one of those guys that can help out a quarterback, kind of like, and I'm not comparing him to him, kind of like what Eli had with Plaxico Burress, where you could just throw it up and have the confidence that your guy was going to come down with the ball. That's my hopes, not my expectations, but my hopes for Malachi Fields, man. And shout out to any Giants player that might be lurking. Hopefully you guys prepare well, stay healthy, enjoy your family for this time, and get ready for business, come training camp in West Virginia. And anybody, let me know. Anybody expecting to go to West Virginia in the comment section, let me know. Some of you guys that watch but a shot a comment, let me know if you guys plan on going to West Virginia. Who's going to West Virginia? Not me. You won't catch me in what was it? White Sulphur Springs, West Virginia. I'm not going out there, man. It's far, man. I believe, what was it? 500 miles from MetLife, about a 7-hour drive, depending on where you're coming from. But that pretty much gives you an idea of how far out the Giants are going. Looked up the hotel rooms for those that want to know, about $600 a night. $600 a night to be in the mountains in the woods, man. But guess what? People pay for that isolation, I guess. But outside of that, the weather will be better than people expected. It is, hot, humid on the East Coast, but due to the high elevation, they said it's going to be in the mid 80s for the most part. That's the average weather. And then come nightfall, it can be in between the 40s and the 50s, all the way from the mid 40s to the mid 50s, because the elevation up there in those mountains. So shout out to the New York Giants for finding that place to practice, to hold their training camp. I believe some other teams that have been there were Houston. I know the Houston Texans were there, and I can't remember the other team. I think it was 3 other teams that had their training camps there. I know the Houston Texans were one of them. If you guys want to look that up, you guys can check that out too. He said, my bad, the vodka. Yeah. Tony Benino says, I'm sure the players see a big difference between the coaches of Dable and his crew versus Harbaugh and his crew. No, absolutely. They have to see it, man. At the town hall, you had Brian Burns talking about the scheme itself and how excited he is for this scheme. When you look at, and I mentioned it before, if you haven't had a chance to see the Giants.com video on YouTube with the positional coaches, just the way that they go in depth and they're not afraid to answer questions from the beat writers and stuff like that. You got some good teachers in the building, and I think that's just a sign that tells you what Harbaugh is about. He has a collection of former head coaches, whether at the collegiate level or at the NFL level. You have a collection of head coaches. Of coordinators that have a lot of experience now, being passing game coordinators, running game coordinators, and stuff like that. So there's a lot of talent, not just on the staff, but just all around for the New York Giants, and that's a big difference as well. Deb says, I hear Malachi Fields is looking good. Yeah, he's looking like what we thought he was going to look like. The wild catches. They said he got vice grips for hands. I believe it. 6'5" or 6'4", 220 pounds. Yeah, there's a lot of similarities. And for Giants fans, it's hard for us not to see him and think of, the bigger wide receivers from our history like Plaxico Burress. But we'll see what happens, man. Hopefully all this stuff comes to fruition. I do hope so. Football with the fellas, what's going on? He says Banks may look good now. But when the pads come on, his unwillingness to hit tackle will show up again. He's not the answer. You said it. I didn't have to say it. I don't have expectations for him. I got hope. But, maybe that bus has passed him by. But no, man, like, again, we haven't forgotten, him at the goal line, just mailing it in, not wanting to tackle. We haven't forgot. The only bright spot we've seen from Banks is being a returner. So yeah, no, but I do believe they're going to give him a chance, an opportunity to compete for that spot. And right now, in like they said, in pajamas, in shorts and t-shirts, he looks good. That's what they said. I haven't seen it. There's no proof. I haven't seen anything. I saw one report that said, he broke up a pass that was targeted for Odell Beckham. And everything else is word of mouth from the beat writers. So I'm taking what they're saying and running with it a bit. But again, it doesn't matter. And you're absolutely right. And again, shout out to Football with the Fellas too, man. Another fantastic Giants content creator channel. Make sure you guys go ahead and subscribe to that channel as well, man. Shout out to you guys, man. Appreciate you for the love, support, and vibing with me during the Late Night Giants talk. Joe Spano says, I think it's more important for Hood to finish the season at CP2 than it is for him to start at CP2. Hood is very talented and a good scheme fit, but a little raw. And again, I think he's been coached very well. And it's not just about that too, man. The man, like literally, he came out the womb as a cornerback. Pops, not his pops, his uncle played. His uncle also coached Patrick Peterson. He's been a cornerback fresh out of the womb. So when you look at his fundamentals, and he plays with a lot of confidence because he's been training for this his whole life. So and I like it. You figure he has a lot of people, so as far as supporting him coming up and all that stuff. So I do agree with you though. Maybe it's not important for him to start the year at CB2, but I do think eventually he becomes that CB2. I agree with you 100%. Sean Nevin says, at this point, I say Banks can be next up off the bench. Need to see more in pads. Listen, I like Newsome. If you would have asked me before, the OTAs and minicamp who CB2 was going to be, I thought it would be Newsome to start, and then you have Hood eventually take over that spot. But out of the blue, here come all the Banks talk. But that's how I felt prior to all the Banks talk, and we'll see what happens with that. We saw that Newsome has been getting some reps outside cornerback, also some reps at slot. Again, I like Newsome. I liked him better at Cleveland. I don't think he fit the scheme in Jacksonville, and you saw it in the production. But he was a former first rounder. He does have a certain skill set. And again, Denard Wilson is hopefully the secondary or the DB whisperer at the end of the day. But we'll see what happens, man. We'll see what happens. Craig says Shane not knowing was a horrible DC. Yeah. Change the scheme to miss the play. Listen, it was awful, man. You talking about real time. We saw it real time too, man. Shane Bowen was so awful in his first year. I thought he was going to get fired when they let everybody else stay. I said, somebody got to fall on the sword. And he didn't. And he didn't fall on the sword. And, and it just took a couple more weeks, not even a couple more weeks. He lasted longer than Dable, which is also super surprising. But I think a lot of that was Dable's fault. Dable could have been got rid of him. But instead, Dable ends up getting fired before Bowen, and then Bowen gets fired, 2 weeks after that? Trash, man. And I don't even know. I don't care where he is now. Hopefully he's with Vrabel or somebody, but I don't know for sure. But he was horrible. He was absolutely horrible. And the crazy part about it, and it was his fault. Sometimes they say, oh, it's about player and their execution. No, outside of players missing assignments, he was putting players in awful positions. What was it? Spencer Rattler before the game talking about, they don't disguise anything, but pretty much the look is what they're in. They don't make any changes after the snap. We talk about Spencer Rattler at the end of the day making these type of statements, and Spencer Rattler was 100% right. We wasn't doing nothing, wasn't changing nothing, wasn't disguising anything, and we lost to the Saints. Now, we also had 5 turnovers in that game, and that doesn't help at all, especially when we were ready to punch it in, and we had that Scatterable fumble, which was awful, because if we get that, if we score there, we take the lead, and we probably have the momentum. But I can't cry over spilt milk. Can't cry over spilt milk. Clinton, what's going on? Clinton says, I'm ready to see how Dart does with the new coach. You see, that's the last statement. So let's talk about the losers, man. Let's talk about the loser. I apologize if I missed your comment. If you really want to talk about it, go ahead and put it back in the comment section. Let's talk about the losers, right? and it hurts me to laugh, but first loser of the spring is my man, Better Call Sauls. Better Call Ben Sauls, man, talking about choking. Ben Sauls choked before even training camp started, and that sucks too, because I believe he was 17 for 17 to end the year, something like that, as far as extra points and stuff like that. And I had high hopes for him. I'm so happy that the Giants decided to pick up the UDFA kicker from Michigan, Dominic Zaveda, because he's just been lights out. But Ben Sauls probably had the worst spring of anybody. Let me know if you guys agree with that in the comment section. But I think the kicking competition is over. I think the kicking competition is over before it starts. And the bad thing about that is we started off with 3 kickers. Jason Saunders looked horrible. We got rid of him. The Jets picked him up. And now the competition is between Zaveda and Ben Sauls, but you don't really have enough faith in Sauls for it to be a true competition. So I probably would think that the New York Giants added an additional kicker, maybe, depending on how they feel about Zaveda. And John Harbaugh, with his background as a special teams coordinator, he seemed to do a good job with the kickers in Baltimore. And he wasn't afraid of to start Justin Tucker in a similar scenario as Dominic Zaveda being a rookie. And then we saw how good Tucker was on the field. Obviously, past couple of years, he had some stuff happening off the field. We're not going to discuss that, though. But as far as being able or his ability to kick and, ice games, Tucker was fantastic. He was fantastic. Let's see. Orlando. 0808 says, Dash, you think we carry 6 or 7 wide receivers? And if so, who do you think makes it? Listen, I might jump ahead, but I'm definitely going to talk about that. But to answer the first part, 6 wide receivers. I think John Harbaugh made that clear. He said outside of Neighbors, 4 to 5 wide receivers. To me, you got to keep 6. You got to keep 6 because you don't know for sure what's going to happen with Malik to start the season. But we're gonna take a deep dive into the wide receivers a little bit later. But we're gonna get into that. Let's see what else we got going on. Actually, let me go ahead and put a star on that so we can talk about that, so I don't forget that later. Luann says I want Banks to return kicks, and I know. All right, so I'm going down to the bottom just so I can get caught up. I see a lot of these thoughts. Q Burrow, let's see what you said. Sup, Dash? Said Brian Burns called Tremaine and Arville a couple of baby predators out there. Yeah, I saw that, man. It's the dreads, man. It's the dreads, and they both giants out there. You saw what the predator look like. We know what it looks like. A giant man with dreads or alien with dreads, and those guys look like the predator out there. Listen, I thought it was funny, and it's accurate. Now, if they end up being predators on the field come September, even better. But I thought it was funny too. I did see that. My man, our name says Giants have $20 million to play with right now. They got it up to $20 million right now. I gotta check the Carfax on that. Football with the fellas says I think we have the best set of linebackers in the league. Keep them clean, and they'll be the core of the run and pass defense. By the way, Reese turns 21 or 20 years old. That man's a baby. My oldest son just turned 20. That man's a baby. Sheesh. But yeah, he's serious for a guy his age. But you know, I like to research things, and I remember him when they had his interview after he was drafted. And you know how they do. They try to make the players cry when they show interviews of the mom and pops and family, you know, talking about them and what they went through, came up and stuff like that. I noticed that his parents were a little bit older, right? A little bit older. And I like that too, because, you know, the different set of values with the older parents, man. So, and it makes sense with his demeanor that he's that serious, because his parents are a little bit older. You know how it is. Some of these parents are a little wild now, man. I don't know that. I'm just saying. That's just something that I picked up. I thought it was interesting. Rev says, this will be the first time in 8 years that I won't be able to go and watch because of West Virginia. Yeah, I know. Our name said FIFA prices. Yeah, 600 for a room is crazy at the Greenbrier. But you see what it looks like, man. You saw what that place looks like. It's The Shining, man. It's The Shining. It looked like a mixture of The Shining and the White House, man. And they out there isolated in the woods. It is what it is. Leo Luca, what's going on, man? He says they have the PJs and shorts, but do they have their smoking jackets? They're going to need some smoking jackets for the Greenbrier for sure. Easy Cash, what's going on? He says, Dash, what's your realistic expectations of Abdul Carter? That's a good question, and he's not in the topic, so I'll answer that question right now. Realistic expectations for Abdul Carter is for him to have a faster start than what he had last year. I expect the sack total to go up. He's one of those guys, in all honesty, if he had a sack a game, I wouldn't be surprised. Obviously, this is hard to do that. We're talking 17 sacks. But if you said Abdul Carter averaged a sack a game, you would. Is it really surprising to you? But that's how I feel about it, man. I need him to impact games a lot more and a lot sooner than what he did last year. Now, obviously, Kayvon Thibodeau and Shane Bowen had something to do with his production. Shane Bowen moving Abdul Carter from place to place all around, and you know, Kayvon Thibodeau being good enough to hold Abdul Carter off from playing a lot of those snaps in the edge early on in the season, you know, can contribute to that slow start. But also, man, there was times where he would get pressure and not finish. I remember in the Kansas City game, he had Mahomes like on a bicycle, not even a bicycle, a unicycle, just pedaling around and couldn't get him down. I remember that. So he just got to finish more too. I was hoping that he was going to hit some type of weight program though, because when I look at Abdul Carter, he looks small to me. And it's funny saying that because a man is 6'3", 250 pounds, but he got some of the smallest shoulders I ever seen. Small shoulders. I say that respectfully. Sean Evans says, yeah, Patrick Peterson has been training Hood since he was 14 years old. So what I heard was his uncle is who trained Patrick Peterson. I didn't hear that Patrick Peterson trained him himself, but I think he was out there training with the likes of Patrick Peterson when he was out there learning his craft as a young kid. That's what I heard. But if Patrick Peterson is out there just teaching him up, and you figure if you're out there on the field too, and the kid asks you to coach him up, I believe Patrick Peterson is the type of player that would do that, especially being, the coach's nephew. But no matter what, the man was out of the womb a cornerback, and I love it. Banks will be CB5. Listen, it's not far-fetched. Just think about it. You got Poston and Debo. Poston and Debo. You got Phillips. You got Hood. That's 3. You got freaking Banks is 4. Banks is 4th right now. Newsome, if you want to put Newsome, yeah, he's 5. No lies detected. He's 5. I put Newsome in front of him. Absolutely. If Banks didn't have the returner capabilities that he has, he might be on the bubble. I think he makes a team because he did such a good job returning the kicks last year. But other than that, he might be on a bubble. Luann says, I liked him too, but he didn't show up in the spring. I can't defend him. And I'm known for defending a lot of people. I can't defend Ben Sauls after the performance he put up in the spring. I can't do it. Especially as a Giants fan, how much heartache came with the kicking position. Now, a lot of that has to do with game management and not having a kicker at all at the end of the day, but I've had too much trauma when it comes to a kicker. If Zaveda looks like the top guy, let it be done. Joe Spano says, Big Dads, don't sleep on Darius Watson. I was getting there. I think he could be a guy who gets a lot of reps at slot corner. Wilson likes to play a lot of nickel. Yep. And when he does, he likes to run with 3 safeties. So first of all, we're going to be living out of the nickel anyway. It's going to be 5 defensive backs on the field 90% of the time outside of probably goal line defense. So he lives out of nickel. Absolutely. Our Darius Washington has that versatility to play safety and to play slot. I do believe he will be in a mix with Phillips. I think a lot of it's going to be situational when you see him on the field. I don't think he beats Phillips out for a slot spot, but he is very, very talented. And his playmaking ability on defense, maybe not last year because he was dealing with the Achilles and he only played a few. What did he play? I think he missed like the first 6 games or something like that. Might have lost. I think he lost more than that because he tore his Achilles right before, I think, in OTAs. So he missed the majority of last year. But if you look at his production in 2024, our Darius Washington is a very good player. And a lot of Ravens fans were actually upset that he was, out of that rotation. Now they're okay because they still got Malachi Starks over there. And what's the guy's name? Hamilton? Yeah. That's the name of that tall safety, right? Hamilton, the kid from Notre Dame. But but I'm glad we were able to pick him up. Another cheap deal pickup for Harbaugh. And again, I think with a lot of money that we have left over in 2027, as far as cap space, some of these guys on these 1-year contracts are going to get re-signed by the Giants, and hopefully they play well enough so we can do that. I don't want to keep starting from scratch with all of these guys that got 1-year contracts, but in some cases we're going to have to. Okay, yeah. Let's get back to these losers. Stacy says Slayton is a loser, and I don't think he's just talking about the spring. I think he's just calling him a loser in general. I will say this: Slayton did make my list default because he's dealing with the injuries. He has not been able to participate for the most part, so I'm not going to hold it 100% against him. But he's not out there getting reps in this new system with the quarterback. So yeah, I put him on the list. Yeah, that's funny. So the next person I want to talk about, man, Jet Sloppy Seconds. Y'all crazy in here, man. Y'all crazy in here. All right, so hold on. I see it. What? Our name says Neighbors, Fields, Austin, Mooney, OBJ, Slayton. What's that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm trying to check my list now, too. Yeah, same here. My dad's life says OBJ going to have 13 again. I think if he wants it, he will. I don't think Hyatt makes the team, so that 13 will be available. Obviously the number 3 isn't available, and we know he wore that at LSU. He wore 33 and 3 at LSU. So yeah, I think as soon as the cuts happen and Hyatt is off the team, we will see OBJ back in that 13 for sure. Like, in all honesty, I can't see this. I can't see this 53 without OBJ. And not saying he's going to contribute during the season or have high expectations. I just, with this wide receiver room, there's no way he doesn't make the team, right? Am I bugging? I don't think I'm bugging. I don't think I'm bugging. All right, let's see what we got going on. Melvin, what's going on, Melvin? He says, "What up, Dash? I'm ready to see what everybody looks like in pads. Me too. So we can really see how it's looking, and I'm hyped." Nah, again, that's why I said I didn't add anybody in the trenches as far as winners in the spring, despite hearing all the news about you had batted passes, you got would-be sacks, all this stuff. I read all of it. These guys are having the defense has been killing the offense so far. And again, and the media access has been limited as far as the OTAs and minicamp goes. And the only time we got a lot of information is when the beat writers in the building telling us about the batted passes and the interceptions and Jackson Dart throwing darts and Dan Duggan talking about darts not looking the best in camp and stuff like that. So, yeah, man, I like when the beat writers in the building and they keep it honest and they keep us honest. That way we're not overly excited, but you know, it don't take much for me to jump out the window, but we'll see what happens this year. Craig says 600 for the Holiday Inn. Did you check it? Is that how much the Holiday Inn is charging for the camp? That's crazy to me, man. That's crazy to me. For those that are going to camp, man, again, I did a video about the updates. Obviously, for the people that are planning on attending training camp, you can't park at the Green Bar. You can't park there. You will get towed if you try to park there. The Giants are providing shuttle services, but the shuttle services will not be at the facility either. It would be an off-site facility, and you guys got to pay for the shuttle service. If you are a ticket holder, you can redeem free parking and shuttle service. So shout out to the ticket holders. I mean, the season ticket holders, I should say, not just ticket holders for practice, the season ticket holders. So you guys get a little bit of a benefit if you're heading out to training camp. So good for y'all. And then all training camps will start at 1:30. Gates open up at 12:30. Yeah, I read up on that. But good luck for the people that are out there going. Because again, listen, 7-hour trip. If you want to go up and leave the same day, maybe some people are crazy enough to do that. And then some people are crazy enough to pay whatever those prices are. Also, I mean, I don't know where the nearest city is next to White Sulphur Springs, but you can always find a cheaper hotel somewhere and then probably drive an hour to try to save some money at the end of the day too. You know, you'll make a way. If you got the hustle and you'll make a way to those practices. I'm not going to West Virginia though. I'm sorry. Anthony Cherry said nothing against West Virginia. Nothing against West Virginia. Just saying I'm not going. Anthony Cherry says 10 sacks guaranteed. Big Dash with Carter. He's supposed to have 8 last year, but they took 4 away from. Yeah. They did. I didn't know it was 4 that they took away, but I know they took a couple away from him due to penalties. Yeah, I remember that. Again, for me, 10 sacks is almost like a given. I feel like you. It's almost a given. If he gets less than 10 sacks, I'm going to be upset. I'm going to be upset because I think that highly of him. So for me, 10 is the bare minimum for me as far as expectations go. I think that Burns is a double-digit guy. I think that Carter is a double-digit guy. I think that even Tibbs in a rotational role should be a double-digit guy too, especially in the contract year for him. You guys, like we talk about Abdul Carter, I know this was a question that was posted in the chat, but I'm curious to see what kind of motivation Tibbs has on a contract year when he's trying to chase the bag. I want to see what type of inspiration he plays with, and we'll see. Leo Lucas says from where I used to live in Frederick, Maryland, the Greenbrier Resort is a bit over 3 hours away. I think it's near Tennessee in the Smoky Mountains. I know it's Appalachia. That's all I know. I don't know. I'm not familiar with West Virginia like that. So if you're telling me it's near the Smoky Mountains, I believe you. But I know you in Florida now, Leo Lucas. So that's a little bit more of a trek. I don't know if you wish you were in Maryland right now at the time, but be a little bit quicker of a trip. But we'll see what happens. You ain't got to be mean, man. You ain't got to be mean to Sauls, man. He had a bad spring. He says better call Sauls, tell him to F off. Listen, I'm not mad at it. I'm laughing at it. I'm just saying we ain't got to be mean. He already dealing with a hard time. Writing's on the wall for him right now. That man fighting for his life. He fighting for his NFL life, and right now he got 2 feet in the grave. I'm just saying. Nova, what's going on? Nova says, I want Holland and Pinnock starting at safety. I understand why, man. And again, shout out to everybody in the building. We got over 100 people. Make sure you guys hit the like button. I did a video this week on Tyler Nubin. And I know how a lot of people feel about Tyler Nubin. I'm still shocked at the fall off from Tyler Nubin from year 1 to year 2. But I do have I had hope, it's hope for Banks or whatever. I do have expectations for Tyler Nubin because, like I said, I followed Tyler Nubin's college career. Not followed his college career, but I did a lot of research on Tyler Nubin and how he performed in college. And he was fantastic in college, man. Fantastic. And to see him fall off the way that he fell off, I don't think it's just him. I think it had a lot to do. Well, now we could definitely blame some plays on, like him taking bad angles. That's him. But being in the right position, being able to disguise, we saw he was a solid tackler in year 1 as a rookie. He was a solid tackler, and to see him take bad angles and miss tackles and stuff like that, it just sucks. But I do believe that it is his job to lose. And again, there's no loyalty when it comes to Harbaugh. And if Tyler Nubin struggles, I don't think the rope is very long. I think if he shows that he's struggling, week 2, week 3, you might see Pinnock starting by week 4. In all honesty, I'm not mad, and I like Pinnock, and it's not like Pinnock is a world beater either. But as far as making plays, Pinnock has made more plays as a New York Giant than Tyler Nubin did. I don't think I'm saying too much or saying anything crazy. No slander. Keep trying to keep it real as possible and respectful. Jonathan said, nah, you're not bugging OBJ making it. I'm telling you, man, I'd be upset if he didn't make it. Okay. I only got the 1 loser so far, or 2 losers with Darius Slayton. The next loser on the list, people forget about him. Thomas Fidone, man. Thomas Fidone, another loser in the spring because he can't practice. He's dealing with a foot, coming back off the foot. Harbaugh did speak on him briefly, saying, he's dealing with the foot thing. He should be ready to go by training camp. Listen, man, I am a fan of Thomas Fidone. I thought that we were robbed last year of seeing Thomas Fidone play. We saw him in the preseason, and he contributed in the preseason. He was one of Jameis Winston's best targets in the preseason, and he got a touchdown in the preseason. 5-star recruit coming out of high school, dealt with some injuries at Nebraska, but he is talented. Large catch radius, can give you a little bit after the catch, and he's just a big target. And I understand the last 4 games they put him on the IR for for the foot. But all the rest of the season, like, you didn't get a chance to see him, and it was for Manhertz. And trust me, I understand what Manhertz is. Manhertz is a fantastic, traditional, old school blocking tight end, but he doesn't give you anything as far as a receiver. I would rather bank on the upside of Thomas Fidone than saying, yeah, I'm just going to settle for Manhertz and the good blocking. We drafted tackles and paid tackles for a reason. Well, we drafted the tackle to move in the guard, but we paid the Luminor. Andrew Thomas is solid. I don't know if we need a guy that's going to sit there and chip. Maybe you use him in goal line. That's fine. But at the end of the day, Theo got to be a better blocker because he's not a small guy. I don't expect much from Isaiah Likely as a blocker, but Thomas Fidone, to me, should beat out Manhertz, man. He really should beat out Manhertz. But the way it's looking right now, and I'm going to ask you guys, we keep 3 tight ends. If you want to include Pat Ricard as the fullback / tight end, that's cool. But outside of Theo Johnson and Isaiah Likely, who do you guys have as your third tight end? Is it Manhurst or is it Thomas Fidone? Let me know, man. But for me, I want Thomas Fidone to succeed so bad. The man looked like Frankenstein out there, but an athletic Frankenstein, I should say. Because Frankenstein wasn't athletic at all. But Thomas Fidone looked like he could be or is a athletic Frankenstein. Q Burrow says Hodgins greater than Slayton, but money is involved. Yeah. If it wasn't about the money, Slayton might be gone already, man. Let's be honest. And I hate to say that too, because the one thing Slayton did, over his time as a New York Giant, when we really had him, counted out, he made enough plays. Like he did just enough to make you calm down a bit. You never forgot about the drops, but you calm down a bit. But then what happens? He'll make another big drop, and then you're right back where you are. He got that whole Evan Ingram thing going with him right now. I thought he needed a fresh start. A lot of people believe he needs a fresh start, but you're just paying him too much money. He got the Giants by the balls right now when it comes to money. And you don't have a trade partner, most likely. So, it is what it is. But I want to talk about Thomas Fidone. That's me getting sidetracked. Shout out to my man Dealer in the building. What's going on, Dealer? Another fantastic Giants content creator in the building. Renee 0, is it 0? Yeah, no, Renee 045 says Darts is going to struggle through camp, but he'll be ready for the season. I don't think he wants to lose to Dallas week 1. We're going to talk about Dart. That's the last topic, man. And I'm glad my man Dealer in the building because me and Dealer got a lot to talk about. Shout out to my man Dealer, man. So Thomas Fidone is another list as a spring loser due to injuries and not being able to be out there. Jalen Hyatt. Jalen Hyatt is on the list. We've heard almost every wide receiver's name get called as far as being able to make a play. Whether it's Jackson Dart throwing to him, Jameis Winston throwing to him, or Brandon Allen throwing. That's his name, right? Brandon Allen. That's our QB3, right? Brandon Allen. I saw what is it? Gibson. Somebody way down on the wide receiver depth charts making plays. We heard Braxton Berrios' name the first day he got to practice. Before he got hurt, we saw Gunnar Olszewski be mentioned. Dalen Cambry got mentioned. Nobody is mentioning Jalen Hyatt, man. And for a guy to be a third-round pick that the team traded up for, the GM, coach is no longer here, and you can't even get your name dropped in the article in the spring? Come on, man. What we doing? So Hyatt is on that list too. And then the man that called all Giants fans hot dog flipper, not hamburger flippers, hot dog flipper, that's still funny to me. Evan Neal. As far as I know, the only report I've heard from Evan Neal is that he's running with the third team. And I know how some people in this chat and some people that watch this channel feel about Evan Neal. Just move him to left guard, let him play left, give him a chance at left guard. He got to earn it, man. And he has not earned it, and we have not heard his name mentioned often. And again, it's the trenches, it's the spring, until these guys get pads on it, feel a certain way. But for me, Evan Neal, third team, springtime loser for me, man. And I will say this, let me be clear. I'm hoping that all of these guys turn it around and are successful during training camp and are able to make plays in training camp. And they make it a harder decision for the coaches to cut down to 53. And that'll be my nice thing to say, as far as the guys. Now let's talk about competitions now. Let's talk about competitions, and the main competition you see is CB2. We kind of touched on it earlier, Pauls, about that, about the competition. I do believe it's a 3-man competition at CB2. Should be a 2-man, but it's going to be a 3-man because of all the news and all the hype behind Tay Banks looking good already in camp. So Banks, Newsome, and Hood. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Let me know if I'm sleeping on somebody, possibly. You guys like Corey Black? Do you like Rico Payton? Do you guys like Art Green? Let me know if there's a sleeper somewhere too, man. But right now, I think the CB2 competition, it should be between Newsome and Hood, in my opinion, with Newsome taking the early lead because of Hood being a rookie. But Banks has somehow worked his way onto that list. So let me know what you guys think, man. And I'm going to go down because I see all these comments. I'm going to go down to the bottom. I'm going to hit a couple on the way down to the bottom. Dad's Life said you could probably shack up with some Hills. What the Hills have eyes, folks? For cheap, maybe an arm or a leg. That's hilarious. Maybe the people from Deliverance, I apologize, man. I apologize. Hold on. Leo Lucas says, can I talk about a certain Spielberg movie I saw? Listen, Leo Luca, I promise you. Because you the movie guy, man. If we got time at the end of the live to just talk a little bit about things outside of football, we will definitely. I have not seen the movie yet. I do want to see it. I want to see Disclosure Day. I have not seen it. Please, if you've seen it, don't put no spoilers in the chat. I promise I will kick you. I will boot you. Tyrone Hall said, happy Father's Day to all the fathers in the chat. That's a fact. Shout out to all the fathers, all the good fathers out there. From Big Dash knows. Let me be the first person, actually the second person, since Tyrone Hall did it already. Happy Father's Day to all the fabulous, fundamental fathers out there. I try to find another F word, but shout out to all you fathers, the good fathers out there on Father's Day. For me, I'm like, I kid you not, my grandfather's passed. I don't got no grandfathers left. My pops passed. I got my step pops. I'm gonna call him in the morning and tell him happy Father's Day. Shout out to my big brother. Happy Father's Day to you too, man. And happy Father's Day to all my brothers, man, especially my day ones, guys I grew up with too, man. BBS, you guys know who you are. If you're watching, if you're not watching, salute to y'all too, man. But yeah, man, make sure if you're fortunate enough to still have your father in your life, to make sure you make that call and tell your father happy Father's Day, man. I'll call my father-in-law too, man. I was blessed to have good in-laws too, man. I know some people be struggling with their in-laws. This is a side note, very random. I was blessed to have good in-laws. So the only bad thing about my father-in-law is he's a Dallas Cowboys fan. That's it. Other than that, fantastic person. He just happens to be a Cowboys fan. Man, let's go. Our name says we need 4 tight ends. Fedoni is a good receiver. Fedoni is actually pretty good. He's a decent blocker. He needs some help on that, but he is a receiving tight end. But I think he has the bones, man. He has the base to become a really good tight end. Other than that, Theo Johnson needs to take the next step. If Theo Johnson develops, we saw flashes last year when he holds on to the ball. It was a Chicago game. He made a nice play, run down the field and stuff like that. So we know he has that capability. He just needs to be more consistent. Let me get down to the bottom of the chat. I do apologize if I missed your but I'm like 15 minutes behind in the chat. So I want to go ahead and make sure I get caught up, especially for this last hour of the show. Our name says Hyatt had 4 years to prove his worth. Crickets. Yeah, man. It's sad, man. It's sad. Nova Nibbler says, rest in peace to them and God bless. Nah, man, like I said, I was fortunate to have like my grandfather's fantastic men, outstanding men. Fortunate to have them in life. My pop's fantastic person too. Again, if you're fortunate to still have your fathers, man, make sure you shout them out, man. Make sure if you got kids, your kids treat you right on Father's Day, man. They ain't got to do nothing crazy, but just make sure they know it's a certain respect level when it comes to these pops out here, man, for sure. Luann says Theo's drops more balls than Slayton. The sad part about that, I don't know if that statement is true or not. I want that statement to be false, but I would really have to look at how many drops. Hold on. I got my handy dandy notebook. I keep my handy dandy notebook, and I know I should have some Theo Johnson notes in here for drops. Give me a second. Somebody might be faster than me. So if you know how many drops he's had, let me know, please. Okay, let me see. That's the O-line. You hear me? I'm old school with it. Paper just flapping. You guys can pick that up on. Where's my tight end? I tore that out. That's right. I need it. Nope. Theo Johnson, 7 drops. And I have not done the wise. So Theo Johnson last year, 72 targets, 45 receptions, 528 yards, 5 touchdowns, 7 drops. Younger me will be able to have all that information in my head still, but I got to write things down. I apologize. Got to be quicker than that, right? My man, Dad's Life, and with a name like a Dad's Life, shout out to you, man. Happy Father's Day. He says, yeah, happy Father's Day. I could use some prayers for my dad right now. Well, let's go ahead and do that, man. Let's go ahead and pray for Dad's life, Pops. Drop the praying hands in the comment section. So whatever's going on, I pray for the best. I pray for healing. And in Jesus' name, amen. I don't know if you're Christian or not, but that's how I pray. Shout out to your father. Miguel said happy Father's Day to everybody. Yeah, man, that's a fact, man. Look at that bookend tackle. Says a dad's life. Praise for your dad and whatever is going on. That's a fact, man. We don't have to ask any questions. We just, the prayer warriors. We do that. Respectfully. Luann says, stop bashing Slayton. He makes big plays. So he does. He absolutely does, but he also has some big drops. I remember Slayton taking that crossing route to the end zone. What was that against? Was that the Jaguars? Anyway, no, that was a deep pass from Daniel Jones down the right sideline that he had that big, but he also got a lot of big drops. Let's talk Pittsburgh game 4 years ago. Dropped in an end zone Redskins game or Commanders. I apologize, Commanders game. Yeah. So he really Dealer did the work. So Slayton had 6 drops. Theo had 7. So yes, he had more drops. Luann was absolutely right. Theo had more drops than Slayton last year. That's what's up. So we got prayers and we got hugs in the chat from a man his dad's life, man. Again, praying for your pops, man. Absolutely. Kenya said, did Hyatt get a fair shake? He been a Dable doghouse day. Listen, that would have been an argument for last summer. And you know that. That would have been an argument for last summer. Not this summer. We ain't even got the time to be entertaining in any BS. I swear. Won't Stop Dream Team Entertainment in a bit. What's going on, man? How you doing, man? Shout out to you. Thank you for joining us tonight. I don't know if you just got here or if you just decided to comment, but I appreciate your love and support and tuning in. Again, to everybody, I appreciate the love and support and tuning in. Shout out to all the fanatics out there, New York Giants fanatics, the Big Blue Nation. We are in the building. Shameless plug. Go ahead and subscribe to not subscribe to them, but join the Big Blue Nation, man. Shout out to y'all, man. I appreciate the love and support as always. Nova Nebula says Slayton pretty much neutralized his drops in both the 2023 and 2024 season. I feel like last season was a combination of lack of focus from overcompensating and bad luck. Also, man, he was trying, like, what game was that? Jackson Dart dropped that ball in a bucket, and he had it in his hands. Not the touchdown one that he dropped. I can't remember the game now, right down the middle of the field, and he tried to brace himself and drop the ball. Couldn't hold on to it, man. He pissed me off, and then same thing happened to him in the end zone, man. The thing about the difference between Theo Johnson and Darius Slayton is, yes, he had more drops than Darius Slayton, but it was where Darius Slayton had those drops. Like, Theo had some big drops too, man, but like, and I said it in the Dart video that I did. Like, if Slayton catches the balls that he dropped, we talking about another 300 yards and probably 2 to 3 more touchdowns for Jackson Dart. And that means something. You go from 2,200 yards to 2,500 yards and almost 30 touchdowns on the season. Because I believe also Theo dropped a touchdown in the end zone too. But the whole point is, we'll leave it alone. So CB2 spot, that's where we were at before. Competition between Hood, Newsome, and Banks. I do think Newsome holds off Banks, but they're going to give Banks every opportunity because they also watched Banks coming out of college in Baltimore, and they kind of liked him. And then also Denard Wilson is a DMV guy. Tay Banks is a DMV guy. University of Maryland, and he's probably working with him and giving him extra pointers, trying to give him not a leg up, but trying to give him the best opportunity to do something. Saints game, thank you. Saints game. It's so many drops, they start to blend together. Shout out to Prime Odell. I appreciate that, man. Big Blue Doja, what's going on? He says, didn't he almost lose his job to David Seals? Oh man, David Seals, man. David Seals. Shout out to David Seals, man. I remember those clips of David Seals, working with his personal wide receiver coach, and they went viral because he was out there looking crazy. Luann says dash some of those balls through are not. Yeah, we already know that. We know that. I'm talking about the ones that were dropped in the bucket, though, Luann. I'm talking about the ones that hit that man in the hands. I'm not talking about the balls that got away from Dart. Again, we got a whole segment to talk about Jackson Dart, and we could talk about the pros, the cons, the strengths, and the weaknesses. We're going to get to that, man. We're going to get to that, and you guys can let loose because we are in a safe space. Some people don't like when you critique Jackson Dart. I'm here for all the critiques, and we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk, and guess what? We're in a safe place. We respect opinions, and we should have a good conversation about it. I won't even say debate because some of this stuff is facts. And I believe that everybody, hopefully everybody, is rooting for, the development of Jackson Dart moving forward. We'll see what happens. I know some people don't like him now because he don't share the same political views and stuff like that. If I thought about that when I think about NFL players, I probably wouldn't like a lot of people. But again, every man is their own man. They can do what they want to do. And I learned a long time ago to mind my business. Some people don't like that. Some people will. Some people respect it. I learned to mind my business a long time ago. So where we at? So all right, so we're gonna move along to the wide receivers, man. And we kind of already said, as far as the competition goes, I think we all pretty much know who the 6 wide receivers are going to be, barring any injury and barring whether or not Malik Nabers is healthy or not. But I do want to talk about these wide. I think the only and I put it down as a competition in the wide receiver room is the wide receiver order. Outside of Nabers, who's going to be wide receiver 2, 3, 4, 5, the order of the next 5 guys outside of Nabers being a clear wide receiver 1. So in the comments section, we already talked about who's going to be there. Now, if you feel different, right now, where's my man at? I think I started, right? I didn't start. Orlando said, Dash, you think we carry 6 or 7 wide receivers? If so, who you think makes it? So I'm going back to that. I do have Nabers. Everybody's healthy. In this scenario, everybody's healthy. Nabers, and this is not the order. Close to the order. But Nabers, Slayton, Mooney, Fields, Austin, OBJ. That's who I got for 6 wide receivers making the 53. Everybody's for this part of the show, we're gonna pretend that everybody is healthy. Nabers, Slayton, Mooney, Fields, Austin, OBJ. Now, this is where it gets interesting, and this is where I need y'all help. Because we about to have a real conversation when it comes to the wide receiver order. Hopefully we can argue a little bit, man. And hopefully it's just not everybody agrees with themselves. So Malik Nabers, unquestioned, when healthy, when a full go wide receiver 1, even when he's not a full go wide, fully, he's wide receiver 1 without a doubt. So we're going to leave Nabers out of this part of the conversation. Who's wide receiver 2? Just put the name. Just wide receiver 2. Just put the name. Who is, in your opinion, who is wide receiver 2? Now, just think about these names. Outside of Malik Nabers, you got Slayton, Mooney, Fields, Austin, OBJ. Who is wide receiver 2 to you? Milk Does says balls that got away from Dart. Yeah, Paul, sorry. I missed that one. Shout out to my man Jonathan Pride. He ain't in the building yet. At least I don't think so. He usually makes sure, that I catch the pauses. But listen, okay, hold on. Big Blue Doja, I see you. We not going there yet. We not going. We not saying who the number 2 target is. Who is wide receiver number 2? Listen, I believe you. I believe the same thing. I think likely is receiver 2, but we're going to leave likely out of it for right now. Who's number 2? Okay, here we go. Jim Simpson says Dart has better weapons than last year. He will rock. I think so too. Listen, I'm going to tell you why I like Dart, and I'm going to tell you what Dart needs to work on in the last part of the show. And trust me, we're going to talk about it, and we're going to keep it respectful too. Nova Nebula says, I just think there's too many quality bodies in the room, and they've made an emphasis on signing multiple and prioritizing special teams. I think Berrios makes the roster as the 7th wide receiver for special teams. If we keep 7, Berrios is on my list. Absolutely. If we keep 7, I think he's on the list. I think Calvin Austin is a good enough punt returner that he can hold off Berrios, and I think right now you got to keep OBJ. You got to keep OBJ. Okay, so Prime Odell says Mooney. Miguel Franco says Mooney. Big Blue Doja said likely, but we're not going to count that right now. Won't Stop Dream Team Entertainment says Slayton. Kenya says Mooney. Rev says Slayton. Amen. David Ford says Mooney for sure. Prime Odell says if likely counts, then him. No, we're not doing that. We're not doing that. Big Blue Doja says Mooney if it comes to it. Anthony Cherry says Mooney. Sean says Mooney. A Dad's Life is the first person to say Fields tonight. Leo Lucas says Mooney. Our name Mooney. Rice. Listen, Rice. You not Rice and Reason. You're not listening. We not counting likely. We're not counting likely right now. And again, you are absolutely right. I do believe he's receiver too. We talk about just the wide receivers right now. And we already know he's going to be playing more wide receiver or the role of a wide receiver, slot wide receiver, big slot. We know that. I want to keep it on the wide receivers right now. I do. Nova Nebula says Neighbors and Mooney are the outside starters. Austin starts in the slot. Slayton rotates for Neighbors. Fields rotates for Mooney. Beckham rotates for Austin. You gave me the whole thing. We might as well stop the show. Nah, shout out to Nova Nebula. Nah, I like that. And I agree with a lot of those points. Tippy Lot says Mooney is number 2. Rice and Reason says Austin. I like Austin a lot, man. I like Austin a lot. Sean Nevins says, I think Fields can become wide receiver 2, but Mooney for now. I'm not mad at that. Stacy says, keep Juju and trade Slayton to Indy for a 5th. If you could trade Slayton, I'm with it. If you have a trade partner, I'm with it. If they want to eat up a lot of that money, possibly, or if we only end up having to pay half of that, then I'm with it. I don't think he has a market, but when it comes to Juju, I don't know. He's been more productive more recently than Odell Beckham, but you're not beating Odell in New York. I'm sorry. I'm not saying that you said that either, Stacy. KS the Creator, what's going on? He says, don't sleep on Fields. Was in a run first offense at Notre Dame and still put up good numbers. He was in the run first. He was in the run first and second offense at Notre Dame, because both of those damn running backs got drafted, and I believe both of them got drafted in the first round. What was his name? Jadarius? That's the other Notre Dame running back, right? Jadarius. He got drafted at the end of the first round, if I'm not mistaken. Pure Eye says Mooney. Q Burrow says, I thought Mooney was the second, was the 2, and homeboy from the Steelers in the slot. I can see that a lot, man. So all right, so I agree with a lot of people out here. I think Mooney right now is wide receiver 2 over Slayton. If Calvin Austin was taller and bigger, I think he probably would have been wide receiver 2. The bad thing about Austin is he's 5'9" and 170 pounds. Man ran a 4.240 though, and he is very, very. He's an explosive player. If anybody knows, we know. He put 2 touchdowns up on us last time we played him, the Steelers. But yeah, I agree with the majority here. I think Mooney is wide receiver 2. As a default, because I do think likely gets more targets than whoever wide receiver 2 is right now. And then I got Malachi Fields, and then I do have Austin starting this year as the starting slot receiver. Now the tricky part is this, because where does Odell Beckham fit in these scenarios? Deal, I see you. And I'm gonna ask you that question because I want to answer. Where does OBJ fit, Dealer? Let me know. And I asked you that for a reason. He said, I still think Slayton has a shot to be wide receiver 2. This is not a strong wide receiver group. I don't care what anyone says. Slayton and Mooney are damn near identical wide receivers. I do agree with them being actually similar. It's just that Mooney has been more productive, but also for a time, depending on how you feel about the Chicago quarterback situation, he's had the better quarterback. And at that time, it was, what's his name? Trubisky. in Chicago when Mooney had over 1,000 yards, and that was with Matt Nagy. I do believe that Slayton will crawl out of the grave that he's in with the New York Giants fans. I do believe that he will be able to make some plays, but I'm not sure how many he's going to make. Now, Mooney is absolutely insurance for this wide receiver room. Slayton, I believe, no, not Slayton, Austin is that number 2, but Malachi Fields, man, it just depends on what Jackson Dart does in his development, where Malachi Fields play, or his role with this offense. And we're gonna move that. Yeah. Hold on, because I'm about to jump into the Dart segment in just a moment. So I'm gonna keep that. I'm gonna keep that to myself right now. I'm gonna get back to these comments, folks. Leo Lucas says Fields has to earn it. I hear you. Dealer says likely will be pass catcher number 2 once Neighbor gets back. No doubt about it. Yeah, I believe that. That's why I wanted to keep him out of it for right now. Fields is going to be a situational wide receiver. Yeah. Says he ain't built. What you say? He ain't built to be wide receiver 2. Not out the gate. I liked him at Virginia though. Yeah, yep. I liked him at Virginia. Joe said nobody trading for Slayton. Yeah, ain't nobody trading for Slayton. He don't got no trade market, man. That's too much money. Too much money. Mooney is overrated. To who? I don't think we're overrating Mooney. We're just we're looking at the wide receiver room and placing judgment on what we think. And when you look at everybody behind Neighbors, like Mooney's competition is Slayton and Fields and OBJ, because man, Mooney can play. He can play a little bit versatile, but he's on the outside. So his competition is Slayton, Fields, and OBJ. And I think that he's right where he's supposed to be right now. And again, these guys ain't making any money for real. So Mooney might suck all summer long, pause, and get cut. And it's not going to cost you any money. And then next thing you know, Barrios makes it, and Juju Smith-Schuster has the chance to make it. These guys outside of Slayton, man, these wide receivers ain't making any money. Austin ain't making no money. Odell ain't making no money. Smith-Schuster, Barrios, all these guys on vet minimum contracts with no guarantees for the most part. It doesn't hurt to cut these guys. So whoever's not performing, who's ever not up to snuff, is getting cut. Period. Prime Odell says Calvin and likely are gonna eat on broken plays. Listen, all right, we held off long enough. We had almost an hour and a half mark. Let's talk Jackson Dart, man, because a lot of what these wide receivers expectations hangs on what Jackson Dart does in year 2. So I'm going all the way to the bottom of the comments, all the way. I apologize if I missed your comment, but we're gonna get into it right now. Pause. That's right. Robbie says no Diddy. We about to get into it. No Diddy. Oh man, hold on. Let me get some water first. Pause. Jackson Dart. All right, this is how we close. This is the last segment of the night. I'm giving us a little bit over a half an hour so we can discuss the most important position on the football field at every level, and that's the quarterback. That is the quarterback. So before we start, for those that want to talk about it, for those that want Jackson Dart, I want you guys in the comment section first to list whatever comes to your mind first. If you want to list pros or cons first for Jackson Dart, go ahead and put it in the comment section. And then I'm going to share mine too. I'm going to share both my pros and cons when it comes to Jackson Dart and his development. Strengths and weaknesses, if you want to do that. If you like strengths and weaknesses over pros and cons, whatever. But in the comment section right now, you guys have the chance to speak your mind and let it be known on Jackson Dart and the development of Jackson Dart. I will have a couple of questions when it comes to Jackson Dart, but I'm looking for some participation here so I can check the temperature in the room. KS the Creator says, I'll start with Dart. Love the off-script plays, but I want to see him be more of a pocket passer and not rely so much on off-script plays. Bingo, 100%. 100%. Robbie says Dash is my favorite Giants content guy. I believe it. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. And shout out to all the other Giants content creators out there too, man. Again, we're trying to build this community up, but I do appreciate, the love and support, Robbie, as always. Nova Nebula says footwork and deep ball needs improvement. 100%. Luann says Dart needs 3,500 yards and 35 touchdowns. Sign me up for that right now. Sign me up for that right now. I'll take that right now, especially with how much I think we're going to run the ball. If Dart in season 2 has 3,500 yards and 35 touchdowns, sign me up for that right now. That's progress right there. I really do believe that, especially on the touchdown side. 3,500 yards is probably where you want your starting quarterback to be at minimum for the most part. 3,500 yards, yeah. But 35 touchdowns, yeah. Sign me up for that right now. Sean Nevin says Dart needs to learn how to take snaps under center. We see that he's working on that right now. Bookend Tackle says footwork. Okay. Robbie Garn says he has to learn that the best ability is availability. That's a fact. Better slide. Get out of bounds and slide, Dart. Dealer says my man Fields runs like 3 routes. That was at the college level. He could run 3 routes. I'll put money on Fields not being what y'all believe him to be, and I'm dead serious. I believe Malachi Fields to be a 50-50 ball. I want him to run downfield and jump higher than the defender and come down with the ball. That's my expectations for Malachi Fields right now. He's not a route technician. We understand that. He did play better at Virginia as he showed a little bit more speed and a little bit of yards after the catch. But one thing I know him to be is a tough tough wide receiver that can go up and get the ball, and that's what I expect from him in year 1. That's it. Prime Odell says footwork consistency needs to improve, but I have really high hopes after watching a lot of film. Again, when we're these are critiques. We're not bashing, so you ain't got to feel like you got to justify what you're saying. This is what we're thinking, and hopefully everybody in here is mature enough to see what people are saying, that we ain't got to sit around and jump around hoops, on our critiques. If Jackson Dart was watching, he will let you. He's the first one to tell you what he needs to work on, and that's why I like him as a young and upcoming quarterback. He can identify that, and also you have the right coaching staff around him that they know what he needs to work on as well. Was it Callahan? One of the first things Callahan said was, footwork, mechanics. So, yeah, these coaches are talking to him. So if the coaches can say things, we can say things too, because we're fans. Anthony Cherry says need to work on the footwork, and he needs to know how to get down sooner. I agree. Tyrone says, I want Dart to have success because the team's success depends on it regardless of the political view. Absolutely. I think we could be mature enough in the building to try to put things outside of football, away for the time being. Some people can't, though, and I respect that as well. Leo Lucas says Dart needs to learn when to slide, when to extend plays. True. They said, what is it, risk versus reward? That's another thing Callahan spoke to him about. They had a cut up. Somebody cut up, one of the data guys, cut up all of his, scrambles. And they pretty much went over all of his scrambles and the outcome of those scrambles. And they pretty much tested him on risk versus reward. So they have that understanding. Now, Jackson Dart is absolutely hard-headed for sure, because he says exactly what, even at the town hall, he says exactly what you want him to say, and then he goes back. So what did he say? Yeah, I know I got to get down. I know the team depends on me. That my best ability is my availability. So I got to be smarter when it comes to risk and rewards and sliding and getting down. And then he said all that. People cheered. But then he goes, but if it's third down or if I'm at the goal line and I got to make a football play, you ain't even have to go there. We understand that already. What's understood don't have to be said. You could have left it right there, because you know what they do. The beat writers will run with it. Just that second part of it. Everything you said before that, they're going to just, not even think about it. But that's 100%. Q Burrows says, I'm not going to lie, it's hard not to love Dart. He's not perfect, but I really don't have complaints or much to say. I guess he can work on footwork and knowing when to give up on a play. That's another thing, too, that I think is very, very important. Every play does not have to be a touchdown. You heard people say that. He wants to make the biggest plays possible. Sometimes you got to live to fight another day. Well, I used to say with Eli, you live to fight another play. And Jackson Dart needs to learn that as well. Stacy Duvall says Dart is the most experienced. Hold on. Dart is in the most experienced offensive room in the NFL. If he doesn't improve, it's him. That's a great point. There's a lot of teachers. There's a lot of teachers on that coaching staff, and you're absolutely right. If we don't see an improvement in his development, then it's on him. Now, the only thing that I would say that could affect that as well is if that offensive line is not up to snuff. That's the only other thing. Nobody relies on the offensive line more than quarterbacks and running backs at the end of the day. So yeah, I do like that point. But there's a lot of experience in that coaching staff. And if he doesn't get better and it's not the offensive line, then it's absolutely him. Dealer says he's going to be a situational pass catcher, and you're still talking about Fields. You're still talking about Fields. We move in the Dart, man. We move in the Dart, respectfully, man. Shout out to my man Dealer. KS the creator says backing off of my previous point, I've noticed a lot when it comes to Dart is if his first read isn't there, he's ready to start scrambling 100%. A lot of people have noticed that too. He just needs to relax and continue to read his progressions. Now, I'm glad that's a good point. I want to talk about that for a moment. Last year, a lot of people kept talking about how much better the offensive line was, and they were. And they talked about how much time Jackson Dart had to throw the ball. And he did have some time, but a lot of that time he created by scrambling and moving around, whether in the pocket or outside of the pocket or scrambling. He did keep his head up and try to make plays downfield, but he did retreat out of the pocket often, sometimes earlier than he should have. I think a lot of that has to do with the type of scheme they had in Ole Miss and him running into, pro defenses in the NFL. I'll be lying to you guys if I said that, he's perfect. He goes through his progressions with no issues. A lot of this stuff was one read, and then he would scramble, and then it'd be a scramble drill, and you will see him make the plays off of that. We've seen it. Philly game was a perfect example of that. But yeah, no, you're absolutely right. He does tend to leave the pocket a little early and start to scramble because he knows that he has that in his bag. Being able to scramble, extend plays, make plays, he needs to be more consistent in the play, more consistently out of the pocket. But again, he has to also trust that offensive line, and the offensive line needs to give him a reason to trust him. So, that's a great point. Great point. Sean says, I'm sure our OC showing Dart tape of Patrick Mahomes getting out of bounds when yeah. And Pat Mahomes, man, for Pat Mahomes to be as slow as he is, he's always fast enough to get out of bounds. That man ran a 4.840. And he looks like he's just fine out there getting away from defensive linemen and linebackers and stuff. And even Jackson Dart didn't run the fastest 40, but you see what it looks like on the field. That game speed is real. William says Dart needs to learn that some are better off being. Dart needs to learn that some are better off being thrown away. Okay, got you. He can't win the game in one play unless it's the last play. I get it. Now, everything that we like about Jackson Dart is tied up in his mobility. That's what we fell in love with. Him running the ball, the design runs and stuff like that. We fell in love with that. And you don't want him to stop doing that completely, but I do get what everybody's saying is you want to see him progress. You want to see him turn into a more efficient quarterback operating out of the pocket. And you're not wrong for wanting those things. And it's not wrong to point out or critique some of the flaws or the weaknesses in his game. Again, he was able to cover up a lot of those weaknesses with his mobility. But again, there's more and more tape out there. You got a whole season worth of tape out there on Jackson Dart. These teams are not going to be as surprised as they were last year. And he has to make those steps. And I think he can. I absolutely think he can. Jim Simpson says Dart seems to pick up new info quickly, and he will show up in game situations, I believe. Now, that is one thing. One thing about Dart, he is a hard worker. He is a football junkie. I believe there was a clip from Cam Scatterbull He was gaming. He was gaming live and, playing. I don't know if it was, man, I don't know what game he was playing. Jackson Dart was in the background and he was looking at plays. Here we are watching Cam Scatterbull streaming, gaming, Jackson Dart in the background studying. Love to see it. Now, that's one thing that Jackson Dart does have. He is a football guy. He is a student of the game. He wants to be better. He does not lack in that area of the want of being, better or want to be the best. He wants to be the franchise quarterback for the Giants. He wants to bring a Super Bowl to New York, and he does put in the work. Just got to translate to the field, but he has all of that you want. It's not like the whole what was DeMarcus Russell. Remember what the story about DeMarcus Russell? They gave that man a blank CD, asked him if he studied the plays. He said, yeah, and they set him up. Ain't that something? Remember that they gave him a blank CD just to see if he actually would study the plays. And he came to practice. They asked him if he studied. He told them, yeah. And he said, well, you know what? That we gave you was blank. So how'd you study? And that's still, to me, that's still just like one of the best stories ever. Because I remember watching Jamarcus Russell. I remember him at LSU. One of the most talented quarterbacks I ever seen. And it goes to show you at some point, talent means nothing if you don't got the work ethic. We saw with Tony, Kadarius Toney, natural ability, one of the most gifted athletes I've ever seen. Did not happen when it came to for the love of the game and as a student of the game. When we saw what happened, he's out of the league right now. You gotta have that want to be the best, and I believe Jackson Dart does have that. KS the Creator says, I also understand though that the O-line was not as good as the numbers say last year, so he may not have trusted them fully. He made the O-line look better than they truly were. Listen, I was saying that all off season long. People want to argue, well, this offensive line is not that bad. They were ranked 5th. I watched the plays, man. I watched Jackson Dart run around. I watched him run around and make plays off script. I saw with his offensive line. I watched John Runyon get beat like a drum. In the Cajuns, I saw Jermaine Illuminor get beat. I saw GVR get beat. I saw JMS whiff. I saw all of that, and people want to still tell me there's nothing wrong with the offensive line. It's the best offensive line we had in years. You're right. It's the best offensive line we had in years, but a lot of it had to do with the players not being not on the offensive line outside of Andrew Thomas. I will never slander Andrew Thomas. Prime Odell says, I also wouldn't say Matt Nagy would be blameless. We'll just have to see what happens. Now, so what we've heard so far as reports in training camp. I'm sorry, not training camp, but OTAs and in mini camp, and even Dart at the podium said that this year he's doing a lot of things that he has not done before. We've seen play action under center. We've seen him under center, period. And again, this is the next steps. He has to play under center. He has to learn how to play better under center. Why? Because Harbaugh wants to run the ball, and he wants to run the ball with the fullback, and the quarterback, for the most part, has to be under center. I'm not going to say it's not going to be a lot of RPOs. Obviously, RPOs work their way into all of these offenses, but they want to be a traditional hard-nosed running team. And a lot of that, the quarterback has to be under center. And then also, a good running game helps the passing game. They want to be able to run play action under center. And then Jackson Dart, again, when you're running play action under center, you're turning your back against that defense. You got to have a lot of trust in an offensive line if you're willing to turn your back. When you're in the shotgun, you're not turning your back to the defense. But when you're running this out under the center, you have to trust that your offensive line is doing their job, and that's keeping you upright. So yes, he has to get better working under center, operating under center. Again, this is a very, very important season for Jackson Dart, a very, very important summer for Jackson Dart. And again, he's already talking about a lot of stuff he has not done before. And then what we've seen in reports, and again, Dan Duggan is probably the loudest guy saying it and being honest, Dart has not had the strongest summer so far. And a lot of the play, and listen, go to Giants.com, read Read the reports from Dan Salomon, from John Schmelk, all those guys. What they say, they always say, Jackson Dart out of the it would be a sack, but Jackson Dart scrambling to keep the play. They're not blowing things dead, and they're allowing the play to continue. And he's completing passes on the run after a would-be sack. Now, I do believe when they get into training camp that they do need that hot whistle from the referees. If it is a would-be sack, can I talk tonight, please? They need to blow the whistle dead, or the play dead, I should say. And I think with that, you'll get the real timing, and it'll give you that real, that real quote unquote pseudo game in-game experience to help him have that internal clock. So I think that all helps. Let's go to Vaporizer says, yo, what's good, Dash? Just wanted to pop in and say, keep up the good work. Can't wait for the season to start. Jesus loves all. Christ is King. Amen. In Jesus' name. Amen. Williams says, last year, Dart also had no playmakers. He barely had one read. And again, so, all right. So now, I think we got through a lot of people had the same thing to say when we talked about his weaknesses, stuff like that. So I'm going to shift it because I said, let's talk about strengths and weaknesses, and we tend to lean on the weaknesses because we want to see him improve. So let's talk about some of these strengths, man. So you said last year Dart had no playmakers. He barely had one read, and I'm not going to argue with you about that. Once Neighbors went down, it was the Dart and Wan'Dale Robinson show, the Dart and Theo Johnson show. The Dart and Tyrone Tracy, the Dart and Cam Scatterboo show. That's what it turned into. And then you had a sprinkle here and there of, another wide receiver, either straight off the practice squad or straight off the street, right? So yes, the wide receiver room, as far as talent goes, is better than what he had last year. A lot of these guys were not getting a lot of separation early. That's why they went to this West Coast offense now with Nagy. And the main thing with West Coast offense is timing. Timing with the drops and timing with the receiver routes. So I do think that he was with a lot of these signings in the wide receiver room, you got guys that can get fast open. You got a lot of guys that are twitchy, guys that got long speed too. Calvin Austin's twitchy with long speed. Darnell Mooney has long speeds. Darius Slayton, despite how you feel about him, has long speed. Odell Beckham, quickness, we don't know if his long speed is still there, but he's still got plenty enough in the tank. It looks like to me, we'll see what happens. And Neighbors is just Neighbors. Malachi Fields, I'm not going to call him a burner. I'm not going to call him twitchy, but he's just taller than a lot of the other receivers out or a lot of the defensive cornerbacks that are going to be covering him. So that's a win for him. But I do believe that in order for Jackson Dart to be more proficient, he has to get past this first read, second read, third read. He has to really learn to have that kind of patience. Again, we saw that you're able to make people miss in the pocket. You're tough to tackle. We saw that. But we also need you to operate within that pocket. And hopefully the center position is a lot stronger so you actually have a real pocket. We saw JMS again get bullied a lot. He had his best year so far, but he was also bullied a lot. And then again, Runyon. I'm gonna leave it alone. Luann says Eli got us to the Super Bowl in his fourth year. Dart can do the same, maybe sooner. I need to get into the Super Bowl by 2029. That's what I need. I need to keep the streak alive that'll make a Super Bowl in every decade for 50 years. If the New York Giants get a Super Bowl by 2029. 80s, 90s, 2000s, 2010s, the New York Giants have been Super Bowl champs. I need one before 2029, or it's one by 2029, I should say. Luann says, I want more throwing touchdowns and running touchdowns from Dart. Well, we already got that. We saw 15 passing touchdowns, and what do you have? Nine rushing touchdowns. But yeah, he does need to step it up in the passing game. And I think that, well, I would say this: if the New York Giants are winning and winning consistently, I don't know if people are going to care as much until like the end of the year, because we saw it with Daniel Jones in 2022. We didn't care what he was doing. We just was winning, and it felt good. But I do think for him for the long run, the bigger picture is for him to be a better passing quarterback 100%. Sean Evans, great point. I definitely don't want to take the dog out of Dart. I don't think anybody's going to be able to take the dog out of Dart. I'm going to keep it 100 with you. As much coaching and teaching he's going to receive this summer, I still think it's going to have to be real game experience in order for him to get that out of him. Pause. So I still believe Jackson. I still believe he gonna give you 500 yards on the ground. He's probably gonna give you at least 5 rushing touchdowns on the ground. So he's still gonna have that part of his game in there for real. I just want him to make the steps as more of a passing quarterback as well. I don't want that dog. I don't want him to lose that either. Not at all. William says, does Dart have great hair? I think so. I think he does. I absolutely think he got like the half mullet thing going on, and it works for him. It works for him. He got the golden locks, sunshine, right? Remember the Titans. He got all that. He got all that. He does have good hair, you know. Hey, yeah. Dealer says Mahomes is so good once he gets out of the pocket that that man will hit a defender with the pump fake, will pass the line of scrimmage and fake a defender out of extra. Yeah, you're right. He did it to Abdul Carter last year. Remember that? Abdul Carter had him by the collar, and I think he thought the refs blew the whistle. And he let him go. Remember that? What was that, week 3? He had Mahomes by the collar and let him go, thinking they called the play dead. Said, no, you got to finish. You got to finish. But now you spot on when it comes to Mahomes. Prime Odell says, I'm not worried about separation with neighbors, likely Slayton, Mooney, or Austin. Now, this is not something that was on the list of topics. I do want to talk about neighbors, right? Now, again, I don't expect neighbors, or I'm not looking for neighbors until week 5. If he gets here sooner, fantastic. There were some critiques on Malik Neighbors as well. His rookie year, we saw him win a lot off of his natural talent. Now you look at the Dallas game, he had buddies on skates in that Dallas game. But Malik Neighbors is quick, twitchy, fast, but he's still not clean. He's not the cleanest route runner. There's a lot of cleaning up he can do on his route running, and if he does that, obviously he has to get healthy first. I understand. He got to get back to being Malik. I understand. I'm saying a fully healthy Malik Neighbors, he was making the plays that he was making, and he wasn't the cleanest route runner. You have somebody in the building right now that was known for having clean routes, and Odell Beckham. And you have somebody in that wide receiver room that a lot of these guys can look up to, and more importantly, listen to and take coaching from. So I'm very excited that Odell Beckham is in the room, whether he makes the 53 or not. He is around Malik Neighbors, as far as practice. I don't know what they're doing off the field and stuff like that. And he has somebody that he can look to and ask questions about, hey, how should I run this route? How should I set up this defender? What do I need to do to get out of this cut a little bit cleaner? And you have somebody who was a fantastic route runner, and OBJ still to this day can get open, to give him some pointers. So I love that. So I just want to leave that alone for right now. Outside of that, Slayton can get separation. Slayton's a better route runner than people give him credit for. It might be, a little bit, take him a little bit longer to get open. He's a strider. Mooney, he's another guy that can get open. Austin is super shifty, can get open as well. And guess what? If you got Austin down the sideline, one-on-one with cornerback, just throw it as far as you can. He's going to run up under that and catch it. He got that kind of speed, Olympic type speed, if we're going to be honest. Was a track star too. He said the CD was blank. Yep, Jamarcus Russell, the CD was blank. And they asked him, say, hey, did you study the stuff on that CD? He said, yeah, I studied. He said, but the CD was blank. That's one of the coldest things I ever heard, man. That's diabolical. Shame on him. Shame on him, but that's some diabolical work by the QB coach or whoever did the offensive coordinator, whoever did that that's diabolical. But it worked. It worked. Nova Nebula says offensive line is flawed, but it's quality. Listen, again, I do believe that we have the best offensive line that we had in a long time. Everybody that I spoke to as far as college draft analysts and stuff like that, when they talk about Maui Noah, they said he projected to be an all-pro guard, even though he's a tackle. they project him to be an even better guard at this level. And if that turns out to be true, we're a step further of making building a wall in front of Jackson Dart. And I'm excited for that. I just need JMS to get better, and I need us to find a better option at left guard. I don't know if Runyon can get better, but I also know that Runyon is not the prototype that John Harbaugh likes for interior offensive linemen, especially guards. So yeah, we'll see what happens with that. That's another competition that I didn't list, but I did a whole separate video about a quiet competition at left guard between a bunch of bums when it comes to Runyon and Falele. And I can't even say that. I wanted to say I say that respectfully, but I just called them bums, and there's no respectful way to call somebody a bum. I just got to be honest there. Can't sugarcoat that at all. They need to figure out who the left guard is going to be for the future, because right now we're dealing with Runyon and we're dealing with Falele, and maybe Evan Neal is in the mix. Maybe J.C. Davis is in the mix, but we need a better option. We need to figure that out. We need to figure that out as soon as possible. As soon as possible. Dealer says, here's my question. Is Wan'Dale Robinson better than the options that we brought in outside of Isaiah Likely? I believe he is. I was never the biggest Robinson fan. Now, and we saw this with two different quarterbacks. We saw it with Daniel Jones. We saw Wan'Dale Robinson do good with Daniel Jones. We saw Wan'Dale Robinson do good with Jackson Dart. We saw Wan'Dale Robinson in the game with Russell Wilson do good as well in that Dallas game. Wan'Dale Robinson ended up being a fantastic Giant. I was disappointed that we lost him, but I understand money is money. Now, with that being said, I think a lot of it had to do with the quarterbacks and what they dealt with. Wan'Dale Robinson, slot receiver, what's the main thing with slot receivers? It's about getting open fast. And when you had guys like Daniel Jones and you had guys like Jackson Dart, if you can get open fast and you might be the first person in that read, you're going to get the ball. Now, also with Jackson Dart and Daniel Jones, these guys can create plays or extend plays with their legs. And whoever ran the best scramble drill also was effective. And it just so happens that Wan'Dale Robinson is one of the best scramble drills wide receivers at the time. And that's why he got a lot of targets as well. So even we might feel like he's more talented. I might believe it too, but I don't think it's by much, because now those same passes that were going to Wan'Dale Robinson will be going to Likely, and he's a bigger target. And I think that Jackson Dart will feel even more comfortable throwing to Likely because of the catch radius and stuff like that. So we'll see what happens. We got a long season. Luann says August 15th for first preseason game. That's a fact, against the Vikings at home. Can't wait to see that. I do expect the starters to play. How long, I don't know, but Harbaugh is known to play his starters in the preseason. So I can't wait to see that. We're going to see the starters more than we've seen in the last 5 years, or 4 years, I should say, play in the preseason, the starters. And then a lot of those guys do. And I said it, I don't know if it was last week or not. The only two people I don't really need to see in the preseason is Andrew Thomas and Brian Burns. That's it. Everybody else needs to play. Shout out to Big Blue Reborn in the building. He says, I'm late, but I'm here, Dash. Big Dash knows what? What do you say?
Big Dash knows what?
Shout out to my son. Shout out to y'all, man. Yeah, we getting out of here. We about to close this thing down. The best part of the show is this Jackson Dart conversation. It's a safe space. So anything you want to say about Dart, any critiques you have for Dart, let me know right now. But shout out to y'all. And if you guys are not subscribed to Big Blue Reborn, make sure you guys go ahead and do that. Same thing for my man Dealer, fantastic Giants content creator as well. Make sure you guys subscribe to those channels as well. Shout out to my man Nerd Cage in the building. What's going on? He says, Dash, want to join us for a Spider-Man spoiler talk after the movie comes out? 100%. Just send me the invite, because I plan on seeing Spider-Man, if not the day it comes out, that opening week. And you already know, whenever I can escape football for a little bit and talk entertainment, movies, music, and stuff like that, I will absolutely do that. So for those that don't know, shout out to my man Nerd Cage Live, a Giants fan, but is on that entertainment gamer type channel that he's running over there, but still a diehard Giants fan. Check out my man's channel. Also, he got all the interviews with the movie stars and all that other stuff like that. So make sure you guys check out his channel. Make sure you guys do that. Dealer says, Dash, who do you think will take Brandon? You know what's funny? I saw a video, I think it was Pittsburgh Steelers. I saw that they showed real interest in Brandon Sorsby. I don't know. I think he will get picked up for sure. I think he is talented enough to get a chance. I'll say that, but it just depends on the team. I like Brandon Sorsby. He needs to figure out what his gambling addiction is, and that's it. But the only team I've seen so far that actually had like a video was like, or interest was the Steelers. And you know they're trying to figure out their quarterback situation right now. They got Aaron Rodgers, then they drafted Will Aller, and then they Drew Aller, and then they have Will Howard too. They drafted him a year before, and they're still trying to figure out who's going to be the successor to Aaron Rodgers. So that's an interesting spot for me, and I think there's some smoke there. Dad's Life says, what's the wide receiver room if Neighbor starts the year on the pup? Is everybody I just named and Braxton Berrios. That's it. So Slayton, Mooney, Fields, Austin, OBJ, Braxton Berrios. If Neighbors is not ready to go week 1. Yeah, that's where I'm at, Dad's Life. JJ the King, what's going on? He says Slayton got talent when it come to getting open, but yeah, don't matter if you don't catch the ball in the bread basket and you drop the ball. I can't trust you. I don't know. And I cheered for him. I was one of the biggest cheerers, defenders of Darius Slayton. Last year, I told everybody, I said, if Darius Slayton gets 75 receptions, he can have 1,000 yards. He'd be 1,000-yard receiver. What'd he get? 40-something receptions this year? Fell right on my face with that one. I'm not doing it anymore. I'm leaving wide receivers alone for right now because I was defending Hyatt, fell on my face. Defend Darius Slayton, fell on my face. I'm not doing anybody else. When it comes to wide receiver, we'll see what happens. That's where I'm at. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. Yo, this is 100%. His Neighbor's injury really got Robinson paid. Facts. 1,000-yard wide receiver. Put up crazy numbers. How many first downs did Wan'Dale have last year? Like 20-something first downs, receptions. Move the sticks. The absolute Neighbor's injury got Robinson paid 100%. 100%. Nova Nebula says, I mean, do we have to look at others outside of Likely if he is an upgrade over him? Oh, you talking to Dealer. I'm gonna let y'all have that conversation. Big Blue Reborn says, no, Calvin Austin is the same player with an opportunity. Yeah, I believe it. I listen, I'm high on Calvin Austin. Big Blue says, Dart will thrive in this new offense. As soon as he gets it down, he's good, man. And then, again, when all else fails, Dart will go to what he knows best, and that's out there making plays by any means necessary. And as long as the wide receivers keep their head on a swivel and know how to scramble drill, that ball gonna get to you. Period. I don't need Jackson Dart to be Peyton Manning. I don't need it. I need him to be efficient enough for the pocket, but he got everything else that he can do to extend plays. We're going to roll with that. The development will come at the end of the day. I guess I'll close out the segment with that. At the end of the day, my expectation is that Dart will develop and will become a better pocket passing quarterback to add to what he can do with his mobility. I'll leave it at that. Prime Odell says, no, not Rodgers. No, not Rodgers. Yeah, man. Listen, a Nerd Cage, man. I saw the trailer, the new trailer for Spider-Man. You tell me. It looks different. Is the choreography different? I know you got the inside source and stuff like that, man. Is it the same director? I don't know. But that trailer alone, it had the storyline, the plot. I don't know if that's fresh out of the comic books or what, because I am a comic book fan, but not like that. There was a cutoff for me when it came to comics. But let me know. It looked, and just the way it looks, it just looks different. I can't wait. I'm excited for the Spider-Man, and I can't wait for the Doomsday trailer. If we're gonna be honest, I can't wait for the Doomsday trailer. We hit that 2-hour mark. Maybe we're gonna wrap this thing. I'm gonna get some more of these comments, and then I'm out of here. And again, I want to say Happy Father's Day to all the good fathers out there. We say Happy Father's Day to the good fathers out there. And the fathers trying their best to be good fathers, even if you don't think you're a good father, but you're trying your best to be a good father, that still counts. Sometimes there's outside things that happen and prevent you from being a good father, even though you're trying to be a good father. You guys know what I'm talking about. Keep on trying to be that great father. Shout out to, was it Joe Dog 03 with the $4.99 super chat? Says, Big Dash, what's up, my brother? How we feeling about this front seven? Do you think our run defense takes a leap forward? It's going to be a long year if we don't. I'm going to answer this question like this. Yes, we lost Dexter Lawrence, but we did pick up the second most double team defensive tackle in the league with DJ Reader. We also picked up a solid veteran in Shelby Harris, but more importantly, we picked up some middle linebackers that can run and tackle, chase and tackle, read and react, and cause hell. And I think that all helps when it comes to, making this run defense a lot better. Also, Tibbs, best edge setting outside linebacker that we have. Brian Burns can get better against the run. That will help too. Abdul Carter, all over. I think that we did some things to make this front seven very, very good. Shout out to Tremaine Edmonds. Where we at, man? You heard Sorsby said Steelers, Cardinals, Jets, all make sense. Those all quarterback needy teams for sure. That makes sense. Solidary Camp says, what was one game Dart played that made you think we had a franchise quarterback? Denver. With the flaws. Denver. Listen, for me, him being a rookie is one thing, right? Him being a rookie, you're gonna have rookie struggles, right? But he always showed me one the Philadelphia game might have been his best game as far as stats go. But when the New York Giants needed a score, after he messed up, after he threw the interception in that Denver game, he got the score. Now, it might have been a pass interference that got him all the way down the field, but he still took the chance for that wide receiver to draw that pass interference. And when it was time to get into that end zone, he did that. We needed points, and he did that. That's one of the things that made me think, yeah, he got what it takes to be a franchise quarterback. Now, if he turns into a franchise quarterback, we don't know that yet. But he has the makeup of what it takes to be a franchise quarterback, and that's where I'm going to leave it at. That's it. You could say the Chargers game where everything was, where he looked good. It was, first. That's cool. You could say, you could say the freaking Philly game again Thursday night. That was a big game for us to win. Everything was on display in that game. Breaking tackles, running for touchdowns, passing a broken play, throwing the ball to Wan'Dale Robinson. He breaks a tackle, runs downfield. The first big first down when he threw it to Lil Jordan Humphreys, 50-50 ball in the air. Yeah, we can talk about all that, but that Denver game, because you played that Denver game. Remember his first touchdown, the freaking Daniel Bellinger, breaking tackles, rolls to the right, safety was caught I don't know where, Daniel Bellinger wide open for the end zone. Like, yeah, that Denver game, that's what did it for me. Solitary says Can by far is the who? Cam by far. Oh, yeah, Cam. Okay, Cam by far the best rookie in that draft. 100%. It said Cam. You meant Cam Scatterable. Okay, got you now. JJ the King says Doomsday finna be asked. No way. It can't be. Like his. I swear I'm over time, but we're gonna talk about it because there's no way Doomsday gonna be asked, man. Part of my language. There's no way. No, it would be such a disservice with all those characters. They don't even have to do anything. Just grab the story straight out of the comic books and follow that. And there's no way it's going to be asked. No way. I know enough about comic books that's the whole storyline. The whole Secret Wars plot that they get into and all that other stuff. Listen, it's no way. Now, if you don't like the fact that Robert Downey Jr. is playing Victor Von Doom, that's one thing. Yeah, I talk this comic book stuff a little bit too. Now, if you don't like that, then I can't say nothing about it. I can't say. There's only a few things I need Marvel to do. I need Marvel to knock Spider-Man out of the park. I need them to knock Doomsday out of the park, but I also need them to bring the Black Panther back. I need T'Challa. I need T'Challa back, and I'm gonna leave it alone as that. They should. I need T'Challa back. I need Black Panther back. I can't deal with Shuri. I can't do it. She's cool as a side character. I need Black Panther back. Tony High Point, what's going on? Said Dash, happy Father's Day, my Giants. Before you close out the show, yeah, happy Father's Day to all the Giant fans out there. The Nerd Case says I'm excited to see all the X-Men one last time. See, you thinking the same way I'm thinking. All of those X-Men characters from the 2000 movie, I believe. And this is not a spoiler. This is just something I believe. I believe all those guys is dying in like the first 10 minutes, the first act of the movie. Professor X, gone. Magneto, gone. Cyclops, I think they all gonna be gone. We'll see what happens though. JJ the King says, Dash, I feel you, but MCU been taking L's for a while. Yeah, they have. Yes, they have. The best comic book stuff I've seen so far are the TV shows. The Penguin was fantastic. Daredevil, Reborn, fantastic. The Punisher thing was a little overboard, the special that they did, but also I think the shows are doing right. But Spider-Man, man, I think Spider-Man is how MCU gets back in the game. That's it. I'm gonna leave it alone at that. Yeah. So again, we over the 2-hour mark, man. I appreciate everybody for vibing with me, man. Gotta close down the show. I still gotta eat dinner. I ain't even ate dinner yet. Showing love to my people out here. Happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there, the good fathers out there, and the guys trying their best to be good fathers out there, because guess what? The kids need strong fathers in their life. And there's no knock against the mothers out here, the single mothers out here doing their best and succeeding and all that. These kids need real fathers in their lives, and I'm going to stand on that. And hopefully everybody that has kids out there is doing their best to be in their kids' lives. But with that being said, I want to thank everybody for vibing with me. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And from one Giants fan to another, this is Big Dash Knows, Big Blue Nation. Let's go.